So let's talk about it, Jesse. Your Twitter has been blowing up, my man. You are one of my favorite follows on Twitter. A lot. It's what every 49er fan is talking about. I put up a few tweets yesterday that went a little bit viral.
Those were good. Those were very good. I loved how you took reverse psychology and just were super sarcastic with it. I absolutely
Man.
loved it.
I was doing my best East Bay Chris impression, and some people didn't get it. Obviously,
no, they didn't get it.
I am an all 49ers SI writer, so for some reason that means I don't know anything about football. So that was one thing. But what is going on with the 49ers QB competition? Make us understand what you see as far as what's going on. And I'll preface it by saying, still, Shanahan is pretty adamant that there isn't a QB competition. However, Trey Lance is starting to do more and more stuff. Trey Lance has been guaranteed to play in certain packages. Trey Lance has started working out with the ones, maybe in like very little, opportunity, but plays that only Trey Lance can do. Why are you practicing those type of plays if he's not going to be, your starting quarterback? So tell me how to digest this if I am just an outsider looking in.
Yeah, I think it's funny how two people can look at one thing and see something completely different, right?
Right.
So first of all, early on, you have Kyle Shanahan coming out and saying there's no competition. This is Jimmy's job. If Jimmy's at his best, no rookie can beat him, whatever. Everybody takes that at face value, but they don't take anything else he says at face value. It's really strange to me.
Right.
And then, the biggest thing now is I'm going to take it all the way back. So when Trey Lance was drafted and I started back then, he's going to start week 1. Everybody's like, no, he can't. I mean, he played in the FCS. That's not even like the best of the best in Division I. We don't even know how he would do at Alabama or Ohio State. Well, now he's going against 2s and 3s, however you want to preface it. But these are essentially a college all-star team. When you look at like an Alabama, you have 10 to 12 players every year make an NFL roster off of Alabama. Well, all of these guys are fringe NFL players and or going to be on NFL teams, which means he's playing the best of the best. He is playing like the best SEC defense that he could play against. And much like a Mac Jones had or a Justin Fields had, where they had the stacked deck against them because their offense was so loaded and those were big primetime schools. Sure, he has a little bit of a stacked deck when you have a Debo come in for a play or a Kittle or an Ayuk. I understand that. But what is he doing? He's doing everything he could. He's almost playing perfect like he did in college. What more could you ask for? So he's now passed that test. Now the next test was, okay, let's see him do it with pads. All right, pads come out. He's better than he was before.
Right.
That's crazy. So he has his 2 best days back-to-back in pads where he almost doesn't have an incompletion. And now everybody's like, well, let's see him do it with the ones. And I'm saying, let's see Jimmy do it against the ones, because Jimmy has had the benefit of 5, 6 starting defensive players being out almost every practice, yet he's playing with a full stack deck of offensive players. Let's see Jimmy do it against the number 1 defense, because I haven't seen that happen yet.
Right.
So that's something I'm curious to see how that plays out. And when you look at it and some of those defensive linemen are out, Sunil, usually they're going against the same exact defensive line. But the difference is Trey has a hodgepodge of backup offensive linemen protecting him, and Jimmy has the likes of Trent Williams and Mac protecting him. That's a big difference.
Right.
So here's what I expect to happen. I expect Trey to pass the next test, which is that preseason game. I fully expect that to go extremely well for him. Then the media starts to leave the practice room. And it's funny to me that when they had that big fan day at Levi Stadium, they knew that phones and cameras were going to be everywhere. Why did they choose, of all days, that day to shackle Trey Lance and not allow him to do the read option as much as he was prior because that's all we heard about is how he was gashing that defense. I think he ran it 2 times in front of that big crowd at Levi Stadium. There's a reason for that. They don't want that being out on tape. And then you add in the fact that Trey Lance and really Shanahan has come out and said, hey, listen, there's no competition. But then he said, well, listen, he's going to have to earn his spot in getting some offensive plays. Well, it only took 2 weeks before he said, yeah, I think there's going to be some packages. And I'm not just looking at packages in the red zone or he comes in and he runs the read option. No, I'm talking about like an old school Kyle or a college system where we go from one quarterback to the next depending on matchups. That doesn't work in the NFL. It does not work. And again, once we see that media leave the practice room starting after this preseason game, that's when I expect everything behind the scenes to open up. He'll start to get more reps with the ones. Nobody's going to know about it because nobody's there to see it. And Jimmy Garoppolo himself came out this week in an interview and said, yeah, it's a competition and I'm ready to compete. Well, if your starting quarterback is saying it's a competition and he's ready to compete, it's a competition. Can we stop with the tomfoolery already?
Whoo! Nighter by nature. Spit that ish, J-Nay. Let them know, fam. That was great. I have only two things to add, right? So my tweet was about one of the big critiques about Trey Lance is that he didn't play a lot of football, right? He missed the whole year. And then me in tongue-in-cheek saying, the best way to get him ready is for him to sit another year to not play any football, and that's going to make him well prepared for the 49ers. Look, there's a lot of things to be afraid of a quarterback that hasn't played a whole year of football, right? There's timing stuff. There's maybe nuances of the defense. There's experience, all these types of things. I think the news that we've seen out of the training camp is that he's picked up the offense. He's making the right decisions. He's gotten to the point where he's actually putting players in the right position at the line of scrimmage, which means he's understanding the nuances of the offense as well. But it's not like it's perfect, right? I was with our guy Jack Hammer, and he's talking about in that read option, there's been 5 fumbles that were because Trey Lance made the wrong play or there was a miscue between him and the running back. There has been some accuracy issues. But these issues that he has, the only way to get better is doing what, Jesse?
You got to play.
You got to play. You got to be able to take reps. You have to be able to take reps with the guys that you're going to be playing with. You have to play in game because that experience is going to come while playing the game. It's not going to be coming while watching Jimmy Garoppolo on the field play. The only way he's going to get over these issues that he has is by playing. So that's one of the main reasons. The second reason that he needs to start, and I think he will start, is right now, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a guaranteed contract. But if he gets injured, guess what happens? He has a guaranteed contract for 2 years.
Yep.
Okay, so one of the biggest things that is a problem right now is the amount of money that we're spending towards the quarterback room, right? Because obviously Jimmy Garoppolo has $27 million contract. Well, he could be traded or cut, and we're not on the hook for that whole amount of money. If he plays and gets injured, though, even if you cut him, you still have to pay $7 million. I think it's either $7 or $14 million a year. Is it
$7 million? So if Jimmy gets injured and is not able to pass a physical while he's getting cut, then it's $7 million.
Okay, for 2 years, right?
Yeah, I believe it's 2 years. Yep.
So that kind of negates the whole having a guy on a rookie contract type of thing, because that's the time where you're supposed to stack up your team because you have a quarterback on a team-friendly deal. But if you're paying a quarterback that's not even on your team anymore money, that is like the worst-case scenario to happen.
Yep.
And it's not like we look at Jimmy Garoppolo as Mr. Iron Man. We think that he's going to get injured because we've seen him get injured most of the years that he's been here with the 49ers. So to me, I'm with you. I think, I've said it way back when we first made the trades to go up to number 3. We will never hear anything bad about Jimmy Garoppolo ever again because he needs to be traded. The 49ers desperately don't want to have to cut him. They want to get some kind of assets out of him. But if they don't trade him, I don't know. If they're not trading him, before the season's up, I don't think there's going to be that great of a trade for him during the season because at that point, everybody knows the 49ers are desperate. They might get a late round pick, if anything, but more than likely, they probably have to cut him because they're afraid of him getting injured, right? Because if he gets injured, they're going to have to pay him regardless. So yeah, man, I'm with you. I don't know why, I guess I understand why they're playing it this way, but it's just so see-through at this point.
Here's the other thing too, and I want to address 2 things. First of all, both things can be true. Jimmy absolutely can be having his best training camp. That's totally fine. I'm not disagreeing with that, okay? But the problem is we just talked about how Lance is going to have flaws. Of course. First of all, he's human. Second of all, he's a rookie. There are going to be issues. This is not going to be a perfect season, and I don't expect it to be. Nobody else should expect it to be either. That said, he doesn't have to be perfect because Jimmy is the 20 to 24th best quarterback in the league. He just has to be better than that or as good as that, but add in the running game. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is this. A lot of people think that Jimmy should start, and one of the things they lean on is experience. He's got experience. Experience isn't always a good thing. If experience has been negative in the past, that can hurt you. And when I look at Jimmy G, he still makes rookie mistakes on a regular basis. He looks right through a middle linebacker standing right in front of him and throws directly to a player, somehow doesn't see him. If the pocket collapses on him and he has to go to his second read, he gets jittery. So all experience is not good experience. And then the last thing I want to address is for anybody who comes over from Twitter and sees that I'm just all over this Trey Lance thing. Yes, I know it's constant. I'm going full court press. Mute me if you need to until the season starts. That being said, I do not hate Jimmy G. I don't have to hate Jimmy G in order to love Trey Lance. But what I don't like is people flat out making Jimmy G to be something that he's not. Jimmy G is not the 12th to 15th best quarterback like people want to tout because in 2019 he was top 5 in completion percentage and all these other things. No, all that is BS because when you look at advanced stats, it tears every single one of those major stats that you want to spout off. It tears them apart. Jimmy G is not that. So when you make him out to be something, yes, I'm going to have a rebuttal to it, and it's going to seem like I don't like Jimmy G. It's not that I don't like Jimmy G. I don't like people lying and making Jimmy G to be something that he absolutely is not. So that's where there's going to be that butting of the heads on Twitter. And again, ultimately, it's all love. I appreciate anybody who interacts with me. It is never anything personal, but I'm going to be at your neck, and you better come with some major stats and know your stuff, because if you don't, I do smell blood in the water, and I will come for you.
Talk that talk. Talk that talk. And I think Pinor sums it up really, really well. Jimmy has a lot of experience, but no progression.
Yes.
What is the thing that we've seen over the last however many years Jimmy's been on the team where we could say he's really grown in this aspect of his game? He's really pretty much been the same. And look, that's still a starting quality quarterback, which we both agree. We're not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is trash. We're not saying that he shouldn't be in the league. He can't be a starter. Obviously, when he's healthy, he's taking the team to the Super Bowl. So under the right circumstances, you can get a lot of stuff out of a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. However, I think he is also very lucky he was in Kyle Shanahan's system, because Kyle Shanahan made the game really easy for him. And he's also only played under some really great coaching staffs, right? He's played with New England, who has a really great offensive coordinator and obviously head coach over there. That makes the game a lot easier for a player. Kyle Shanahan makes the game a lot easier for a player. Not taking anything away from that player, because obviously the team has won more with Jimmy Garoppolo as the starting quarterback than not. But that doesn't mean that if you put somebody in there that has the same amount of talent or more, plus another dynamic as far as mobility, that you're not going to be able to see an even bigger gain for the 49ers offense. So that's all we're saying, man. We're not trying to say Jimmy Garoppolo is the worst. We're saying a $27 million contract for a quarterback that doesn't play at that level, and it's kind of vanilla when you have, the spicy up and coming new guy on a cheaper contract. We just think, the math makes sense to start the, more athletic, younger, cheaper, more upside type of player, because at the end of the day, the experience that this guy gains, even if this year doesn't turn out to be a Super Bowl year, it's only going to be better for next year with a full season under Trey Lance's belt.
Absolutely. And that was an argument that I had made just yesterday. I said, okay, if this team doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, and odds are not in the favor of them winning the Super Bowl. We just talked about how good they are, right? I understand that. But there are 31 other teams in this league. So chances are they don't win the Super Bowl. So if they don't win the Super Bowl, and odds are in the favor of that happening, wasting a second year of him sitting again is the biggest disaster, because he's going to have to learn from those live bullets that everybody wants to talk about and everybody wants to see from him. He's going to have to fight through those in year 2 instead of year 1. And I actually think this team is set up for success more next year than they are this year, especially because Trey Lance can definitely get some of that learning under his belt. But if that happens and he's essentially playing for the first time in 2 years next year, you've now wasted 2 of the first 4 years of having that cheap rookie contract. Half of it is now gone. So you have 2 years after that you essentially can win a Super Bowl. I'm not for that. It's not worth it to keep Jimmy as the starter. For what? We know whether it's week 1, week 8, week 16, or week 1 next year, Jimmy is not the future of this team. Trey Lance is. Let's move on. Let's start the future now and set this team up long-term for success in winning Super Bowls and having that window wide open, versus hampering ourselves and taking 2 years immediately off the top and saying, all right, not this year, not next year, but we got 2 more chances at it when Lance is at his best. That's not enough for me. You traded way too much capital. You have to get him in as soon as possible and allow him to learn from those mistakes and see those live bullets.
And even if Jimmy starts and he plays this whole season and is healthy, and we don't win a Super Bowl, that is a wasted year, right? Because if Jimmy can't win a Super Bowl, we definitely know Trey can play the same way and not win a Super Bowl. But at least that experience makes it more likely for him to have a better chance winning it the next year. And at the end of the day, it's better for the team to have their franchise quarterback, which is what Trey Lance is. When you give up all that draft capital, he is the franchise quarterback. Play the franchise quarterback, let him get the experience. Even if this year doesn't turn out the way we expect and we don't make the playoffs, all that kind of stuff, great. We still get a quarterback gaining experience that in year 2 is going to come back with a chip on his shoulder, with a lot more experience, and with the work ethic that we've already seen him do, is going to come back a much better player, and that's better for the team overall.